Okay, folks, so this one is going to be concerning where one reagent is in excess. Now, in excess means you have basically more than you need of it. Okay, basically means you have more than you need of it. So there's two halves to this this question. The first one is in this page 173, question 37. They ask us two questions. The first one is they want us to tell us which reagent is in excess. So basically, is it going to be the ethanol or is it the dichromate? Okay, and then they ask us the maximum amount of the aldehyde here, the ethanol, that can be produced. Okay, so if the reason I wrote limiting reagent up here is just a good rule of thumb for yourself. If let's say, for example, this is in excess, this is limiting. If this is in excess, this is limiting. Okay, so like all the rest of them, you have to get your ratio. So there's my ratio there. 3:1:8:3:2:7. Now, in reality, particularly when we're talking about these ones with ethanol and dichromate, we're not going to be worried about this. We're not going to be worried about this. We're not going to be worried about this. For the most part, it's usually working out which one of these is in excess, okay, and how much of this is produced. Okay, so we have a ratio there, that's no problem. Now we're going to have to just take the information from the question. They tell us that there's 18.4 grams of ethanol, and they tell us that there's 29.8 grams of the dichromate, the sodium dichromate. Now, what they say in the question, guys, is that there's 29.8 grams of sodium dichromate dihydrate, as in there's two waters attached. This and this are the same thing. It's just the sodium and the water don't get involved, so they're not included in the balanced chemical equation. But if you see this, Cr2O72-, it's actually this that you're using. Now, it's a banned chemical now, but anyway, we won't worry about it. But they tell us that there's 29.8 grams of this, 18.4 grams of this. So just like the last ones we were doing, we have to convert them to moles. So we divide by the relative molecular mass of each. So the relative molecular mass of ethanol, I forgot to write it in, is actually, it's 46. Okay, it's 46. So it's 46. When I convert it to moles there, guys, and the relative molecular mass of the sodium dichromate dihydrate is 298. So when you convert them all to moles, I have 0.4 moles of my ethanol. I have 0.1 mole of my dichromate. So that's straightforward, just like we've done before. Okay. The only problem is now to decide which one is in excess. Well, basically, which one is out of ratio. So the ratio, as we can see up here, is 3:1. So in order for this to be in excess, it has to be out of the ratio of 3:1. And same for this. Okay, so if we assume that that's a 1, okay, there should only be 0.3 moles of this. It's like getting our new ratio. There should only be 0.3 moles of this. So this one is higher than the ratio. So this one is in excess. Okay, so let's go through that bit again. So we got our ratio, we converted to moles, okay, and we looked at how many moles of each we had. Now, because this one is out, now keeping in mind the ratio is 3:1, ethanol to dichromate, the ratio is 3:1. Because this one is higher than the ratio, we say that is in excess, and that just means there's more of it than we need. Okay, that's actually one of the ways you maximize your yield of ethanol, is you actually have more ethanol, alcohol, than you need, and that means this becomes the limiting reagent. So that's the first half of the question. The second half of the question is they want us to work out the maximum amount of ethanol, which is, is this that can be produced. So now the ratio, you always work off the limiting reagent, because basically there's going to be 0.1 moles of ethanol here that will be unreacted. Okay, so we always go off the limiting reagent. So the limiting reagent. So the ratio here is 1:3. So by rights, I should get 0.3 moles of my ethanol, my CH3CHO. Remember, that's the functional group for an aldehyde. Okay, so I should get 0.3 moles of it. So all I have to do is multiply it by the mass of CH3CHO, which is 12, and 3 is 15, 27, 28, it's 44. So it's 0.3 multiplied by 44, which is the mass of my ethanol, and the maximum amount of ethanol that I can get is 13.2. Okay, so again, we took a ratio from the limiting reagent, not the excess, from the limiting reagent, and the maximum we could get is 0.3. Because remember, the ratio is 1:3. The maximum we get is 0.3. So basically, once we figured out how much we should get in moles, we just multiply it by the molecular mass to convert it to grams. In the next video, guys, now the last one, we're going to talk about percentage yields, where basically it's pretty much the exact same thing. Okay, we're not going to worry about excess, but it's, for the most part, it's the exact same thing. So again, we'll go from there.